Hey there, everyone. It's Amy from the Creative Confidence Catch-Up here. Welcome to the podcast that's designed to inspire, motivate, and encourage you no matter where you are in your creative journey. Join us as we share insights, stories, and triumphs of individuals who have harnessed their creative confidence from discovering your unique voice to overcoming creative blocks. We'll delve into strategies to overcome any self-doubt you may have that can help propel you forward. So in today's Creative Confidence Catch-Up, today I'm going to be talking with Nick, aka Bltzmac. So would you like to tell us a bit about you, Nick?
Yeah, my name is Nick, aka Bltzmac. I'm from Minnesota, USA, and I am a DJ. Also learning how to produce, and I think I'm finally starting to get the hang of that as well. So I'll say that I'm a producer as well. And yeah, I mean, I just love the EDM scene. And Alou said, "Do you want to do a podcast with me?" And I was like, "Yes." And it was about surrounding mental health, and that's one big thing that I'm trying to push with all of the following and inspiration type of stuff, and just really drive it around mental health. So I was like, yes, let's do it.
Yeah,
So I was super excited to be here. But yeah.
that's awesome. No, thank you. So yeah, like in relation to like what you just done about, like I remember when when I first saw you on Twitch, and I think it was through one of the other people's DJ streams. I think it might have been Zavi's.
Probably.
Maybe, yeah. And basically, so what happened over lockdown, there was different DJs coming on and then what was great was like when you start kind of watching different streamers, especially when they start to, I suppose, be vulnerable on screen to say, oh, I'm not feeling that great today, or oh, I'm doing this to make people happy. That's, I think, your energy and stuff and how that came across is what kind of like, yeah, I like what this person's into, and that just kind of following from that. So in terms of that, have you always been confident? Do you feel like you've always wanted to be a shoe person, sort of DJ person? How would you say that has all come about, sort
Yeah.
of thing?
Yeah. So honestly, it was quite random. I think it was 2015 when I went to my first, I guess you could call it a rave, but it was really just a concert here in America. And I mean, it was fun, and I really enjoyed it, and it kind of sparked interest to learning more about the music and just exploring other DJs and producers out there. And then I think the year following that, my buddy that got me into the kind of music, we went to a festival. We went to Ultra in Miami. And then the year after that, we went to EDC in Las Vegas, which are pretty much like the two big EDM kind of festivals in America. And at the Ultra one, which was the year that first year when we went to that festival, um, their Afrojack gave like a little bit of a speech about how he was in the crowd 8 years ago, and like how like you can just, if you want to dream it, you can do it type of
Yeah.
thing. Like you just gotta put your mind to it. And so I was just like, oh, okay. I didn't really think much of it, but now like thinking back, I'm like, oh, that was the planting seed to everything. But come 2020, I kept exploring the music and enjoying it, and got into Monster Cat, and you can see I have the flag here this time. And so I just was exploring all this like kind of underground EDM type of music that people don't normally listen to. And uh, when I went to EDC about this flag, I was wearing a Monster Cat shirt, and I was like just a tiny little off stage to the whole festival. And some guy tapped me on the shoulder and was like, "Hey, I like your shirt," and handed me the flag. And I was like, "Oh!" And then later I realized it was a marketing guy for Monster Cat. But I was just like, "Oh, that's super cool." And so yeah, come 2020, I was like, well, what do I do with my spare time? And I was like, I love the music. Like I was watching some people on Twitch, I think even a little bit before COVID happened. But then COVID really happened, and everybody was like going on to Twitch, all the big DJs,
Right.
because they couldn't do anything else. I mean, there's no concerts or festivals. So that's kind of what sparked the inspiration, and just like, oh, I can do it at home in my bedroom or in my living room and just see if people like it. And that's kinda, I don't know, like, Xavi was definitely one of the first ones that kind of pushed some people towards me.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, like, I wasn't really confident in myself, even though I had been kind of practicing for 9 months. But I was like, "You know what? I mean, you never know." And it's the internet, you know, it's not like
Yeah.
people that I'm gonna see all the time. So it's like, it's what's the worst? It's not like I'm in real life DJing in front of real people.
Mm.
So I was like, all right, this can be kind of like a baby step. So that's kind of how I looked at it. And then people liked me, and so that kind of just grew my confidence. And um, yeah, now I mean, I'm kind of going down that same sort of path with the production stuff, you know, like
Mhm.
trying to learn how to make music. And like the first couple I think are really good, but then now like that I've made maybe 7-ish tracks, like I go back to the first few that I've made and I'm like, all right, this is kind of boring, you know, and I'm like, whatever, or I could have done this, that. But it's just kind of learning on the fly. But yeah, and at the end of the day, I enjoy all of it. So
Mm.
um, it's kind of a fun little hobby. It's expensive, but when you're in your bedroom still, it's not too bad.
Yeah, well, it's like it does like it just what you've been talking about. It does. I always say that like from the community and having the support from the community, it's when your confidence does actually get raised. And I suppose like obviously when you probably think about, oh yeah, I'm just going to do a DJ set in my bedroom, and then you think, oh, actually, is this like a good thing to do or a bad thing? But then having those people who do support you all the time on the likes of Twitch and stuff, I suppose that does help the confidence, doesn't it? When
Yeah,
they come back.
I would say so for sure. Just I don't know, and like you kind of become friends with them too on Twitch, especially when I started during lockdown. I mean, everybody was on Twitch, so that was kind of your way to socialize with people. So like you
Mm.
got to know the people, but so you can kind of trust their judgment too. So like I have a couple people that follow me and listen, and like I know if I'm ever like looking down or you know my mixes are just like my head's all over the place, so the mixing just kind of is more whatever, not like myself. Like
Yeah.
people usually will reach out like, "Hey, are you okay?" type of thing. So like
That's so nice, isn't it?
yeah, at the end of the day, like they're here to, you know, support me and help me grow as a person, which is really cool because sometimes you have that in the professional world, but not so much in your personal life. And then to be surrounded by a bunch of awesome people trying to boost
Yeah.
your hobby, you know, and it's hard to find a hobby to begin with. So
Mm.
um,
You're
it's
like,
yeah, it's all yeah, it's nice. It just you know it makes you feel good.
mm. And I suppose in the meantime, whilst they are making you feel good, you were making them feel good
Yeah,
through the music and
exactly.
stuff like that.
Yeah,
So it's
it's
like
a
it goes
circle.
on.
Yeah.
That's cool. So in terms of like so we've talked about confidence, talked about like the community aspect. In terms of creativity, how do you see what it is that you're doing like going forward? So obviously you've done the Twitch stuff. Do you think you might go on YouTube or even podcasts, or do you think where do you think it's going to go next?
The one thing that I've learned the past, like, well, it's been over 3 years now since I got the DJ decks, but I've been on Twitch like 2-ish years, and I've slowed down a little bit now, trying to focus on the production stuff and trying to make music. Um, and that is hard. So I'm
Not
slowly,
that.
slowly getting there. But at the end of the day, the one thing I learned is to not really try and force anything with this.
Totally get that.
Like,
It's like
just
just
kinda
do it.
wing it,
Yeah.
yeah. Which is, like, why I'm moving to the Netherlands and stuff, and,
So cool. What,
um
like properly or like are you
yeah, well, I mean, I'm trying to get a visa, so it'll be 5-year visa and then,
wow.
you know, go from there, but I'm not necessarily possibly gonna stay there, but I have
Mm.
family in Germany and stuff, and it's pretty easy flight from Minneapolis to Amsterdam. The
Mhm.
KLM is the hub in Amsterdam, and Delta is the hub in Minneapolis, and their parent company owns both of them, so it's
Ah,
nonstop flight. So it's really convenient to go back and forth. So I think it'll work out pretty well, and I can see my family as much as I want and whatnot because the flights aren't usually too expensive either. But it's like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. You just kind of, I would have never guessed that I wanted to be a DJ. One, I never guessed that I could be a DJ, and I never guessed that I'd be moving to Europe. Even though
that's so cool.
back in the day, I'd always wanted to move to Europe as well. So like, it's like, why not?
I've
and
tried.
I can always move back home. It's not like, you know, I got enough skills in my brain, and professional wise, like I have enough skills and background in that world too to like fall back on if I need to. But now's the time. So if I don't do it now, then I'll regret it later, I feel.
That's cool. And I suppose, like in terms of like the production and stuff like that, I suppose it is at the moment experimenting to find that style, that sort of niche as to where you want to be.
Yeah, I feel like I'm still kind of in the learning the structure of songs phase. Because like there's the, learning how to make a song, and then like yeah, you can make it on the piano and whatnot, but to have all the different beats and like the hi-hats and the drum patterns, and then to have the bass and everything tied through and the layers and all the different effects, there's a lot going on. So I'm trying to learn all that first, and then it's, and you have to also kind of go out and find these sounds and samples and
Mhm,
um like yeah, you do get some stock stuff that comes with the programs, but at the end of the day, they're not the best. And
mm,
so other producers, like they make their own packs and whatnot. You can buy them, or sometimes they'll give away like free samples and whatnot. So I'm just trying to like get my get my hands on anything I can just to see what's out there, and kind of flag which ones I like. And then um, I feel like I've started to get that sound aspect of things down, and like I just feel like every song that I've made so far, I just kind of find something and then I kind of save it, and then I can use it in the next song or something like that. But finding the actual niche sound, I think will take a little bit more time just to really
mm.
get what I want. And then even then too, like there's many producers that kind of change things up. Not necessarily flip genres, but they just kind of, move with the industry and whatnot. Um,
Yeah.
so and the other thing too is like with EDM, I like all different genres. Like the one thing I loved about EDC was I could go from one stage to the other, and the people were, the same friendly people, like going hard, raving and stuff. It didn't really matter what kind of music it was. But in the real world, like people are very opinionated over their music.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of cool to see that. So, I mean, any way I can kind of blend together different genres. I'll probably have to pick two to start with, but at the end of the day, I think just music in general is is enough to make people emotional and like feel stuff and just be happy. So I remember too that Skrillex just did a set with a couple other people. I think it was at Coachella like just a
Mm,
couple weeks ago, and their whole set was like, I guess they played, seven different subgenres of EDM, and people loved it. So it's like it's cool to see things like that coming along too. So I think that might be kind of the niche that I go down, is just trying to blend the two together. I mean, there's
mm.
already kind of styles that are going that way. But yeah, I don't know. At the end
Worth
of the
trying.
day, all the music is fun, and you can always take, an acapella or the vocals from one song and slap it into a drum and bass song or
Mm,
something, and just kind of make your own music. And I find that really fun because you can kind of take what you want from things and then create your own song out of that. And
mhm.
so, like, you've seen some other people going back to the '80s and whatnot, and doing like, there's a bunch of the '80s songs like Whitney Houston and Jolene. I know Whitney Houston is the artist and Jolene's the song. I can't think of
Yeah, yeah, I get
the
you.
other way around. But
Dolly Parton.
like they kind of go back and they make a remix out of it, just
Yeah.
using the acapella and kind of the whole melody and everything around that, or even the
Mm.
scat man and stuff. I'm just trying to think of examples, and of course, when you want to think of examples, you can't think of them. But
Always happens on
um,
the spot.
right, exactly. But I mean, that's cool too. And I've heard too, you can learn a lot about music and music theory by trying to recreate somebody else's
Mhm.
creation, but in your own style. Like you can kind of learn what they did, and then you can use your own style. And then going forward, you can kind of use a mix of both. So
Yeah. And I
It's just really
suppose
cool.
with doing that as well, like obviously if there's somebody doing something and you strive to be who they are and do it, and it doesn't work necessarily because it's them and you were trying
Yeah,
to maybe like interpret what they're doing. Whereas something like if you're like, oh, I like that song, I like that song, how will it work if it was like pushed together and mixed
mhm.
and like changed up? And there's a lot of people that do like the looping thing that I watch as well, like on
Oh,
Twitch,
yeah.
and it's like some of the stuff they come out with, and it's like, wow, by using certain tools or like they have all these different weird like buttons and things. I'm like, whoa,
Right.
what does that do? And that. And by then incorporating maybe a song into it, it transforms it completely. And
Mhm.
because of that sort of originality and that innovation as to what they're trying to do, by making a mistake or two, it actually sounds better or something
Right?
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Like, that's why I always learning too, I'd always listen back to what I had mixed so I could take what I had created and either remember it
Mhm.
or remember maybe what I should do differently the next time. And then that next time when I play the two tracks together, whenever it may be, maybe hopefully I remember
Yeah.
that mental note that I took of like, do this instead of that. Um, so I always try and do that. Same with making music as well. And now too, I even find myself like listening to Spotify and whatnot. I'll like really listen to the song and each layer and try and like figure out what they were doing and oh, that's cool. And like even mixing too, like I'll watch people on Twitch and stuff mix and I'm like, I wow, I see how you did that. Interesting. I might have to try that. And so, especially when I started to, like, I really looked at a couple different techniques and I was just like, wow, that's crazy. But let me try that. And I figured it out and I'm like, ooh, okay, we're gonna do that. And so yeah, it's fun. I like learning from other people. And that's one thing too, with this whole community aspect of things is there's no teachers. And I mean, yeah, you can go to production school or music theory school or whatever, audio engineering. I guess that's a little different, but you could go to school for it. But at the end of the day, most producers are just, self-taught. And so that's a whole creativity in itself too, is trying to learn how to do that and like grow your network and branch out and who you want to connect with and collaborate with and whatnot. So and staying true to yourself too, because I know
Yeah.
sometimes you'll sell out to something and then you lose the rights to your music and it's like, oh,
Mm.
it's scary. So there's a lot of stuff out there that just isn't necessarily taught, and there's no like training or anything
No
for it.
actual
You just have
pathway, and you
yeah,
think, "Oh, no, I'm stuck," and then it's like
exactly.
figuring out that out, yeah.
It's straight just winging it and
Sometimes you
hope
just
for the
got wing it.
best. Yeah, and just stay close to the good people that you meet along the way. And
Mm.
so,
Makes sense. But
yeah,
yeah, this has been such a really, really interesting conversation. It's really insightful, like all these different people I've been like talking to, and then there'll be some areas where it's like totally like, oh yeah, you resonate with that person or that person. But then the
right.
other that's like totally different. I'm like, whoa, it's great to hear different people's perspectives. So as we come towards like the end of this episode, my last question is, do you have any words of encouragement or wisdom for the viewers or and the listeners?
Yeah, I mean, I never write them down, but they're always kind of the same sort of things. And one I've already kind of said, stay true to yourself, and no matter who you meet, don't try and change who you are
Mhm,
just to necessarily get to where you want to be faster. I know there's a book that's pretty popular that says the subtle art of not giving a blank an F,
mhm,
and it's actually I haven't even finished it, but just the few chapters that I've read, one of them talked about like happiness and like what the true meaning of happiness is, and like
mhm.
just talking about the trying to find joy and enjoying the journey rather than just getting to your end goal. So like, just, enjoy it while and that's kind of why I'm saying that I'm winging it. And just if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. But at the end of the day, I can always have DJ decks and I can always mix on my own too. So like, and I know how to do it. So Same with making music. If I get to the point where I can make my own songs, and as long as I'm enjoying them, that's all that matters to me. And as long as my friends, like, sometimes it's fun to, show my friend, oh, this is awesome. So stuff like that. And but yeah, and then just stay close to those that you know you can trust, truly trust, and
Mm.
that you love, whether it's family, friends, both, uh, anything,
They're
really.
going to be the supporters, aren't they, at the end of the day?
Yeah, yeah. Because if you keep a good close circle of friends like that are always going to be there for you, it doesn't matter when you reach out. That they'll respond with a trustworthy answer, something that will actually benefit you rather than just meh,
Yeah.
not really give you, just say, oh yeah, it's okay, whatever, and then
Mhm.
move on. So yeah, I just say, just keep your network close.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. No, it's like I said, it's been great speaking to you today and lots of amazing insights. So, yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It was really fun.